Chapter 931. More than 10 minutes later, Darius was still scolding Benjamin. It was such an awkward situation for Orissa. Feeling guilty and full of remorse, she kept her head down. Noticing her reaction, Benjamin interjected Darius, who spoke at the other end of the line. "Let's end the call here, Dad. I'm having a meal with Issa. You should have told me that earlier. Go ahead and eat up. I shan't disturb my daughter-in-law when she's having her meal." Darius disconnected the call right after he finished his sentence. The corners of Benjamin's mouth twitched. He looked straight at Orissa and teased, "Dad cares about you so much. Are you envious?" Orissa asked as she gazed at him. "Do I need to?" he questioned in return after letting out a snort. Orissa could not help but chuckle under her breath. "Eat up, darling." As she spoke, she put a piece of steak on his plate. The man felt exceptionally comfortable listening to her gentle voice. His eyes glinted with an unfathomable emotion as a tingling sensation spread over his body. "Repeat that." Benjamin's voice was deep and husky, sounding exceedingly alluring. "Eat up." The tips of Orissa's ears had already reddened. Frowning, Benjamin raised his hand and gently knocked her on the head. She rubbed her head and sat farther away from him before resuming eating. Benjamin followed suit and inched close to her. They were so close that his thigh was touching hers. At that moment, Orissa could feel the warmth from his thigh permeating into her skin through the fabric of his pants. Feeling a fluttering pulse, she withdrew her legs. Much to her surprise, the man approached her again, and their thighs were even closer by then. She raised her head to look at the man. Her lips naturally twitched when she saw that he was leisurely eating as if nothing had happened. "Open your mouth." All of a sudden, he took a piece of meat and was prepared to feed it to her. She blinked and looked right into the man's deep eyes. His dark eyes are like a mysterious whirlpool devouring people's souls. As she naturally opened her mouth, Benjamin stretched his hand over and fed her. Once again, her gaze met with his passionate gaze. At that instant, she felt her cheeks beginning to heat up. Calmly, she turned her head away and chewed the meat. Nevertheless, she could sense that the man was still gazing at her. She turned her head, only to see that he was still looking at her. "Why are you looking at me?" she grumbled coyly. Seeing Benjamin curl his thin lips into a devilish smile made her heart race. At that moment, she looked like a young girl who was madly in love. "Is it good?" Benjamin asked softly as he looked at her with a tender gaze. Orissa gave a slight nod. He then took another piece of meat and fed it to her again. After swallowing it, she uttered, "You should eat, too. The food doesn't taste as good when it turns cold." Benjamin kept his gaze on her for a little longer before he continued eating. After that, Ethan came in. However, seeing that the husband and wife were having their meal, he quietly left the room. After Benjamin had his fill, he set his fork down and took a paper towel to wipe his mouth. "Finish off this and eat up this as well," said Benjamin. Taken aback, Orissa looked at him. "You've already eaten your fill." "Yes." After giving her a once-over, Benjamin stood up and strode toward his desk. Then, he asked Ethan to come over. Orissa turned to glance at the man before continuing her meal. He didn't eat much. Soon, Ethan came in and greeted, "Mr. Graham. How are things going?" Benjamin questioned in an intimidating manner. "I've settled it," Ethan reported. Benjamin nodded in response. "Bring Orissa's desk in and place it here." Both Ethan and Orissa were at a loss for words. "Why do you want to move my desk here?" She looked at Benjamin in puzzlement. "Now," Benjamin ordered. His word immediately brought Ethan back to his senses. "Understood, Mr. Graham." After that, Ethan swiftly returned to work and carried out the order. Orissa set her fork down and walked over. "How am I going to work if you move my desk here?" "You'll work here from today onward." Even though Benjamin spoke impassively, his tone was naturally authoritative. Orissa was momentarily stunned. Seconds later, she queried, "I'm going to work in your office?" "Yes." Benjamin cast her a glance and expounded, "To prevent you from being bullied." Chapter 932. Orissa was nonplussed. "You had already spoken up for me, no. Nobody dares to bully me anymore. Those who dislike me would continue to despise me regardless of my working location." Of course, those bullies would still think of a way to bully me if they desired to do so. But since Benjamin had already gotten rid of those bullies today, I reckon the others will not be so foolish as to pick on the boss's wife after that. Well, that makes sense. However, I can protect you better if you're constantly under my watch. Otherwise, Dad will scold me if someone bullies you again. Benjamin fixated his gaze on her without a hint of condemnation. Feeling sorry, Orissa promised, I'll explain everything to Dad when I see him. She sneaked a look at Benjamin upon finishing her sentence. Dad may think that I was the one who instructed you to explain it. Benjamin pursed his lips after saying that, and his words rendered Orissa speechless. My office will be your workspace from now on. Hurry up and eat, Benjamin instructed, gesturing at the dining table. Orissa glanced at him before turning around to continue her meal. At the same time, Ethan had already arrived with his subordinates, carrying Orissa's desk. He was so efficient that he had also brought along Orissa's stationery and documents. Where should we place it, Mr. Graham? Ethan inquired. Benjamin gestured to the space next to him, commanding, move it here. Ethan hesitated for a second before asking his subordinates to bring the desk over. With that, Orissa's desk was placed right next to Benjamin's. Having witnessed the whole scene, Orissa was at a loss for words. Gosh, how should I work when we're sitting next to each other? Moreover, people will be coming in. It doesn't seem appropriate. No. I'll just sit outside, Orissa suggested as she looked at Benjamin. Unfortunately for her, Benjamin merely swept his gaze over her, not changing his decision. Under the command of Ethan, his subordinates got Orissa's desk ready within a short time. The computer and the files were all placed in the same place as she had before. Mr. Graham and Mrs. Graham, it's all ready to use, said Ethan. Benjamin was satisfied after taking a look. Then, he ordered Ethan, instruct the logistics department to purchase some wedding favors and distribute them to every employee. Right away, Ethan responded with a smile and left the room to get things done as soon as possible. After the meal, Orissa cleaned up the dining table. She gathered the waste and put it outside the office before approaching Benjamin. As she looked at her desk, which was placed side by side with Benjamin's, she was utterly speechless. How can you establish your authority like this? She questioned. Benjamin lifted his gaze to look at her. What's wrong with this? Why would I lose my authority? Orissa pursed her lips. You'll be monitoring me all the time. I'll feel uneasy while working. Her lips were set in a pout. He let out a chortle of delight and leaned against the back of his chair. Then, what do you suggest? How should we place it? Benjamin's eyes crinkled with joy as he fixated his gaze on her. When their gazes met the next moment, Orissa blushed crimson. I think it's better to place it this way. Or perhaps put it near the door, she suggested as she gesticulated at the door. Benjamin felt that the door was too far from him. Put it here, then. At a right angle. Orissa was delighted when he agreed to her suggestion. With that, she placed her desk at a right angle to Benjamin's desk. When she eventually sat down, she immediately met Benjamin's deep eyes. Oh, it seems like he can keep a better eye on me this way. You can't move it anymore. We'll return home if you intend to move it again, Benjamin warned domineeringly. Orissa pursed her lips and queried, won't I disturb you if I work here? She thought her colleagues in the same department still needed to look for her to report work progress occasionally. You'll be the CEO's secretary cum the head of the IT department from now onward. Orissa did not feel happy even though she had been promoted. In contrast, she felt distressed. I know he's been planning for this to happen, but I'd never thought he'd decide it for real. What if a staff from the IT department comes looking for me? Won't we disturb you? I'll get another manager to manage the IT department. You'll have the supervisory role, making sure they complete their work. From now onward, complete what I've instructed you to do and supervise your subordinates with a hands-off approach, Benjamin expounded. Orissa was surprised to hear that. Is he trying to lessen my workload? Chapter 933. What's the pay like? Orissa smiled at Benjamin. Benjamin raised his brows and asked, I've already given you my card, no. Why are you still asking me about your pay? Orissa pursed her lips. It's not the same. This is something I earn on my own. With the money she made, she could spend however she wanted. Benjamin's lips twitched. Upon seeing how excited she was, he said gently, I'm giving you a raise. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Orissa was elated. Benjamin snorted in response. Orissa glanced at him and got up to pour him a glass of water. Have some water, Mr. Graham. Benjamin sized her up and urged, get some rest. He took his phone, then logged onto the account that Ethan had signed up for him and announced the marriage. Orissa didn't know what he was up to. She asked inquisitively, what are you doing? Benjamin raised his head and smiled. I've announced our marriage. Orissa stared at him for a moment before inching closer to him. She was stunned when she saw the Twitter account Benjamin was using. It's only been a few seconds, but he has already received 100,000 likes for his announcement. And he has tens of millions of followers. Orissa quickly whipped out her own phone to check the announcement. To her dismay, Twitter had crashed, and she couldn't even log in. Benjamin's announcement was as domineering and direct as his words. He wrote, Orissa York is now my wife. He had even attached a photo of their marriage certificates to the announcement. Although he didn't tag Orissa on the announcement, Orissa's number of followers on Twitter suddenly increased tremendously as well. However, she couldn't see it because she still couldn't log in. In an instant, all the media outlets were reporting about it, so it was all over the internet. In fact, the news about the rich and powerful Benjamin getting married caused multiple social media platforms to crash for a long while. I can't log in. Orissa shot Benjamin a glance. Benjamin looked at her phone and said, forget about it, then. Go and get some rest. Benjamin rose to his feet and dragged her to the private lounge. I'm not tired. Orissa looked at Benjamin. Just lie down for a while. We're bringing the kids out tonight. Benjamin still hadn't fulfilled the promise he had made to the kids. If I don't bring them out tonight, their impression of me is going to worsen. Why don't we just bring them out during the weekend? Orissa suggested. She was too lazy to bring them out that night, as she planned to visit Mary at the hospital. We're going to the old manor this weekend. Benjamin shot her a glance before going to the closet and bringing a set of pajamas out for her. Get changed and accompany me to bed. With that, Benjamin turned around and went to the restroom. Orissa looked in the direction of the restroom, then spun around and got changed. The moment she was done buttoning up, she could sense that someone was staring at her. Unsurprisingly, she turned around and met Benjamin's passionate eyes. How long has he been standing there and watching me? You were fast. Orissa blushed. Yeah. Orissa could feel her heart thumping wildly when Benjamin walked toward her. I need to use the restroom. Orissa scurried away. Benjamin was amused when he saw how embarrassed she was. She gets embarrassed so easily. Be quick, Benjamin said as he walked to the bed. Orissa went into the restroom and closed the door behind her. When she came out, she saw Benjamin sitting at the side of the bed. Her heart skipped a beat because the man wouldn't stop staring at her. Why are you looking at me like that? Come here, Benjamin said seductively, his lips curved into a smirk. His voice was deep and magnetic. Orissa merely cast him a glance before walking to the other side of the bed. Benjamin narrowed his eyes when he saw that. Oh, this woman. He turned around and inched toward her. Orissa was on her phone, and those platforms were still down, so she still couldn't log in. Chapter 934. Benjamin snatched her phone away and threw it to the side. Don't play with your phone when you sleep. Orissa glanced at him in response. Benjamin pulled her in and let her lie on top of him. She wanted to move back toward the other side, but the man held her waist tightly to prevent her from doing that. Where are you going? I'm going to sleep on the other side. As they exchanged glances, Benjamin lifted her chin and went in for a kiss. Orissa quickly turned her head, and Benjamin ended up kissing her cheek. Didn't you say we were going to sleep? Orissa's heart raced. Yes. Benjamin kissed her neck, causing Orissa to shudder and feel a tingling sensation all over her body. He then gave her a few pecks behind her ears. Orissa could feel her ears burning. If he keeps this up, how am I getting any sleep? Fortunately for her, Benjamin held back and stopped teasing her. Yet, she could still feel him breathing down her neck. Perhaps I should just sleep on the other side, she whispered. Benjamin took in her blushing cheeks. His eyes darkened, and he started breathing heavily. You go ahead and sleep first. I need to use the restroom. Benjamin got out of bed and headed to the restroom. Orissa was baffled as she watched him walk away. Didn't he just use the restroom? When she heard the sound of running water, she couldn't help but glance in that direction. She waited, but the man stayed inside the restroom for quite a long while. Seeing that he wasn't coming out anytime soon, she picked up her phone and saw the news of their marriage. Just then, her phone rang. Orissa was slightly stunned when she saw that it was a call from Bradley. Finally, he's calling me. Bradley, boss, did you and Mr. Graham get married? Bradley had seen the news, so he called her to get confirmation. We did, Orissa answered. It took long enough for you to ring me up. How are things on your end? Everything is back to normal now. Bradley chuckled. Boss, when will I get to attend your wedding reception? Next month. Orissa roughly told him the date. Come back when it's time. Sure. Bradley was overjoyed. Congratulations to you and Mr. Graham. We collected our marriage certificates yesterday. Orissa smiled. Then why did Mr. Graham only announce it today? Bradley was puzzled. Something came up yesterday, so he only announced it today. Orissa glanced at the restroom. You've been in Rudisei Village for a while now. Are there any updates on the information I asked you to look into? Bradley froze momentarily. Boss, didn't I inform you already? That was all. Orissa narrowed her eyes. She wanted to question further, but Bradley said he had something to attend to and immediately hung up the phone. Orissa gritted her teeth. There must be something he's not telling me. Is it something about Tim that I can't know? When Benjamin came out and saw that she was in deep thought, he arched a brow and asked, What are you thinking about? Orissa regained her senses and turned to look at Benjamin. Benjamin, did Tim have a hard time in Rudisei Village? Was he bullied by someone? Benjamin's eyes gleamed. He got into the bed and hugged her, running his fingers through her hair. Why would you think so all of a sudden? Orissa gazed at him and said, Bradley called me just now. When I asked him about Tim, he changed the topic and hung up on me. A glint flashed across Benjamin's eyes when he heard that. Stop overthinking. Orissa pursed her lips. You know something, do you? What do I know? Benjamin raised his brows. Orissa was frustrated. He's acting dumb again. You're asking the obvious, and you're also avoiding the topic. Orissa turned away from him. Benjamin looked at her and touched her hair. Should I tell her? Chapter 935. Benjamin sighed softly and caressed her head. I'll tell you. Orissa quickly turned back. So you do know. I didn't want you to know because I didn't want you to worry about Tim. Speak. Orissa urged after leaning toward him. Benjamin's heart softened when he saw how watery her eyes were. In order to make ends meet, Tim had to carry coals down the mountain with the other kids in Rudisei Village. Orissa felt a sharp pain in her heart. He was still so little. She recalled the time when she saw those coal mine workers from afar. That was so dangerous. Benjamin pulled her into his embrace and caressed her head. He comforted her. He doesn't have to live a tough life anymore. Orissa suddenly choked up. It's my fault he had to suffer. I'm so useless. I've failed to protect him. It wasn't your fault. Benjamin lowered his head and kissed her forehead. Orissa sniffled and suppressed her sorrow. When is the court hearing for Donna's case? Next Monday. You want to go? Orissa nodded, her eyes filled with hatred. I want to see Donna get the punishment she deserves. Sure, I'll bring you there. Benjamin rested his chin on her shoulder. Orissa bobbed her head. I want to see her get punished. Don't worry, I'll make sure she never gets out. A malicious glint flashed across Benjamin's eyes. After that, he kissed her eyelid and crooned, Go to sleep. Orissa felt a great sense of security as she breathed in his smell and listened to his strong heartbeat. You didn't let me down, Benjamin. Did you think I have no rationality left in me? Benjamin raised his brows and smiled at her. That woman tricked me and almost caused the death of my kid. Why would I ever let that slide? No, I thought you loved her. I was worried that you would be soft on her. Benjamin lifted her chin and looked at her with his dark eyes. Do you still think so now? Orissa's heart started racing when she met his fiery eyes. No, she mumbled. No. Benjamin's lips quirked up. Orissa pouted and cast him a quick glance before averting her gaze. You don't love her anymore. Benjamin hummed seductively in response. Orissa's heart did a somersault. He then leaned forward and kissed her passionately. All of a sudden, the initially silent private lounge was filled with moans. Orissa was turned on, and before she knew it, she wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him back. Upon getting a positive response from her, Benjamin rolled over and pinned her down before deepening the kiss. Right then, the desires that he had suppressed in the restroom earlier sprang to life again. Right when Orissa could barely catch her breath and things were about to escalate, her phone rang. My phone. Orissa recomposed herself and held Benjamin's hands that were on her waist. Benjamin had no choice but to stop what he was doing and move away from her to grab her phone. He furrowed his brows when he saw that it was a call from Gavin. Why is he always calling her? Who is it? Orissa craned her neck and glanced at the phone screen. It's Gavin. Seeing that Benjamin was about to decline the call, Orissa immediately snatched the phone away and glared at him. What's the matter with you? Why would you decline your son's call? Benjamin ended up lying down with his arms wrapped around her. Lying on top of him, Orissa answered the phone. Gavin. Mommy, do you know Daddy has announced the marriage? Chapter 936. Orissa beamed when she heard the excitement in Gavin's voice. I know. Gavin giggled in response. Shortly after, the voices of Tim, Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse rang out from the phone. Mommy, we already saw the news. Mommy, a lot of people are congratulating you and Mr. Graham. Mommy, your fanbase has grown exponentially. Mommy, I like what Mr. Graham did. Mommy, from now on, no one will dare to bully you anymore. Orissa was amused. Sweethearts, wasn't it laggy for you guys? I couldn't even log in. The platform crashed. Mommy, we can. You have a lot more fans now. Zachary said. Orissa smiled. Sweetheart. Suddenly, Benjamin snatched her phone away. She turned to look at him. Is that what you guys pay attention to in class? Isn't it time for you guys to take a nap now? Benjamin asked. There was silence for a while before Gavin said, We've had enough sleep. Well, unlike you guys, your mommy hasn't slept yet. Don't disturb your mommy's sleep. Orissa was rendered speechless when she heard that. What are you on about? The kids weren't disturbing me. Immediately, Benjamin hung up the phone. Orissa was dumbfounded. The children, too, were caught by surprise. Daddy is so domineering. How could he hang up the phone and stop us from talking to Mommy? Tim looked slightly dejected when he saw how angry the other kids were. We weren't done talking to Mommy yet. Didn't Mr. Graham say Mommy hasn't slept yet? Let's give Mommy time to rest, Tim said. Tim, that was an excuse Mr. Graham made up. He just wants to have Mommy all to himself. Jasper snickered. Why would he do that? Tim was confused. Oliver pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose and said cheekily, Mr. Graham wants to have some time alone with Mommy, and he thinks we're third wheels. Tim gaped in shock. Gavin and Zachary couldn't help but laugh when they saw Tim's expression. Daddy is with Mommy. Gavin smiled gleefully. Although Zachary and the others said they wanted to test Benjamin, they were glad that Benjamin and Orissa were together. Over at Graham Group, Orissa fumed, Don't ever take my phone away again. I wasn't done talking to the kids. Benjamin couldn't help but give her lips a peck when he saw her pouting. Orissa blushed and quickly turned away. You don't have to talk to them for so long, do you? Don't you need to rest? Benjamin pinched her cheek dotingly. Orissa shied away again and ended up burying herself in Benjamin's embrace. His musky and masculine scent is so addictive. She couldn't help sniffing him discreetly. Benjamin looked down at her. Are you still going to sleep? Orissa's heart fluttered when she heard his hoarse voice. It's time to go to work. She wanted to take her phone, but Benjamin hugged her and said, Just take a nap. What if I'm late to work? Benjamin's lips twitched. Are you worried about getting a pay cut? Of course. However, if she were to get a pay cut, she would still get paid handsomely. I'm giving you permission to be late for once. Well, you're the boss, aren't you? Whatever you say, whatever I say. Orissa's heart almost stopped beating. I better stop talking, otherwise, I'm going to fall into his trap. In fact, I feel like he's just waiting for me to get tricked. Why aren't you responding? Benjamin lowered his head and stared right into her eyes. Orissa rolled her eyes at him. Do you still want to sleep? I do. Benjamin planted a kiss on her ear. Chapter 937. Thankfully, Benjamin stopped after that, although he continued holding her. Snuggling against the man's chest and listening to his strong and steady heartbeat, Orissa could not help but smile. Benjamin looked down at the head that was playfully rubbing against his chest and said in a hoarse voice, "Stop moving." The woman paused immediately and chuckled under her breath. If you continue moving, I will do something else to you. Do you want that? Benjamin whispered into Orissa's ears. Orissa was intoxicated by the man's magnetic voice. Her ears started turning red, and she could feel her body burning. Taking in the woman's red cheeks, Benjamin could not help but feel something stirring inside of him. However, he kept his desires under control, as he wanted Orissa to get some rest. Soon, Benjamin managed to cool himself down, and Orissa started feeling sleepy. The couple took a short nap together before Benjamin headed back to work. He summoned Ethan when he was back in his office. "Mr. Graham, how can I help you?" Ethan asked softly. He guessed Orissa was resting in the lounge, as he did not see her in her seat. "Stop all collaborations with the Addams family, and make sure that Rosetta never sets foot in this building ever again," Benjamin instructed with a cold and grim expression. Ethan froze for a moment before replying, "Understood." Mr. Graham must be really mad at Rosetta this time. He's not willing to let the matter slide despite being good friends with Mr. Addams. Should we let Mr. Addams? Ethan decided to remind Benjamin. "Don't bother about him," Benjamin replied in a frosty tone as he was losing patience. "Understood," Ethan answered and then left, seeing that Benjamin did not have any further instructions for him. "Wait a second." Benjamin stopped Ethan. "Yes, Mr. Graham." Ethan turned around at once. "Get someone to bring some fruits and snacks here," Benjamin instructed with a placid expression on his face. "All right," Ethan replied, grinning. Benjamin swept a glance at Ethan, who then put on a serious face again. "Mr. Graham, congratulations. You're finally official." Ethan slid out of the door immediately after saying that. Benjamin cocked his brows. "Finally official." Benjamin snorted lightly, but deep down, he felt great about it. Orissa only woke up at 2 in the afternoon. Realizing how late it was, she quickly washed up and headed out. As she opened the door, she paused to listen to the sounds outside. After making sure that there was no one around, Orissa opened the door softly, then poked her head out to take a peek. "Just come out if you're awake," Benjamin said without turning his head. Orissa was shocked. Does this man have eyes behind his head? She walked over after closing the door to the lounge. Looking at Benjamin's side profile curiously, Orissa asked, "How did you know I was awake?" Benjamin turned to face her. When she met his deep eyes, her heart started racing. "I have a good sense of hearing," Benjamin reminded her. Orissa walked to her seat after giving him a look. "His sense of hearing is way too good. I was so soft just now. How could he have heard me?" "Finish the food." Orissa noticed the snacks and fruits on her desk. "Aren't you eating as well?" "Those are for you." "I'm not hungry," the man replied and carried on working. Orissa sat down, then grabbed something to eat while turning on her computer, a sweet sensation spreading within her. A while later, she felt slightly embarrassed when she noticed that she was chewing rather loudly. She brought the plate over to Benjamin and brought a piece of snack to his mouth. Benjamin looked up. "Have some too," Orissa said while stuffing the snack into his mouth. She wouldn't feel so self-conscious if Benjamin ate together with her. After Benjamin swallowed the food, Orissa quickly fed him another piece before putting one into her mouth. Benjamin looked at the woman, surprised that she was so proactive all of a sudden. "What's the matter?" "Nothing," Orissa replied with an innocent expression. Benjamin stretched out his arm and pulled her toward him. "If there's nothing, why are you feeding me?" Chapter 938. Orissa put on an even more innocent look when she noticed the man's teasing gaze. She started stuffing pieces of food inside her mouth while she struggled out of the man's grip. After walking back to her seat, she said, "I just felt slightly embarrassed that I was eating alone." Benjamin froze for a moment before looking at the woman in amusement. Orissa averted his gaze and continued to snack while working. Benjamin only retracted his gaze after a while. "There's no one else here. Why would you feel embarrassed?" The corners of Orissa's lips twitched. "I'm worried that I'll disturb you if I'm the only one eating." Benjamin chuckled when he heard that. "Oh, she's feeling self-conscious that she's the only one eating. I didn't say that you were disturbing me." If Benjamin was concerned about that, he wouldn't have asked Ethan to prepare all that food. Just then, Orissa's phone pinged with messages from the employees' group chat. She tapped into the messages out of curiosity, and when she saw what was written, her eyes went wide. The group chat was flooded with wishes for her and Benjamin. Orissa blinked a few times. Why is everyone suddenly so excited? She scrolled through the chat and saw that everyone was sending gift cards in celebration of their marriage. Most of those gift cards only had minimum amounts in them, valued at less than 100, as the purpose of that was just to hype up the atmosphere in the group. Feeling entertained, Orissa could not resist snatching a gift card for herself. Ethan is just too funny. Someone in the group noticed her action, and everyone started mentioning her in the chat. The vice CEO texted, "Welcome, Mrs. Graham." The rest followed, and soon, the chat was flooded with the same message. The vice CEO texted again, "Mrs. Graham, send us a gift card too." Orissa felt a little awkward when she saw that. As everyone was cheering her on, she had no choice but to send a gift card of a few hundred. Seeing that it was a rather substantial amount, everyone thanked Orissa happily. When Benjamin looked up, he saw Orissa staring at her phone with a wide smile on her face. He couldn't help but feel curious, as her phone had been pinging. "What are you doing?" "I'm just chatting with everyone." Orissa only realized who she was talking to after saying that. The next moment, she looked up and smiled sheepishly, feeling embarrassed that she had been caught skiving. It's so inconvenient sharing an office with him. She had thought that Benjamin would be angry with her, but it turned out that he was merely curious. It's the employees' group chat. Orissa glanced at him. Benjamin raised his brows, remembering that such a group chat indeed existed. "Let me have a look." Orissa eyed the man, feeling rather reluctant to go over. However, she only hesitated slightly before passing him the phone. "Aren't you in the group chat as well?" "No," Benjamin replied while scrolling through the messages in the group chat. Orissa's lips twitched. After a while of scrolling, Benjamin noticed the gift card sent by Orissa. "You sent a gift card that was worth only a few hundred." Orissa blinked. Is there a problem with that?" Benjamin said nothing in response when he noticed Orissa's innocent look. As he continued scrolling through the messages, he saw the gift card sent by Ethan that was worth only 10. "Am I paying my special assistant too little? Is he that hard up?" Benjamin passed the phone back to Orissa and picked up his own phone to transfer her $1 million. Orissa was shocked when she saw that. "Isn't this too much for me?" A glint flashed across Benjamin's eyes. "For you to send it to the group?" Orissa gaped in disbelief. Spending $1 million on gift cards. Indeed, that's the difference between a rich man and an ordinary person. If you think it's too much, then just send one that's worth 100,000. As the CEO's wife, doesn't she feel embarrassed to give a gift card that's only worth a few hundred? In fact, Orissa did not feel embarrassed at all. When Benjamin said that she could choose to give only 100,000 instead of $1 million, she heaved a sigh of relief, although she felt that it was still a little too much. She could not bring herself to give away 100,000, but it would be different if Benjamin was the one doing it. "Why don't you do it yourself?" Orissa gazed at the man, waiting to claim his gift card. Perhaps her intentions were too obvious because Benjamin froze for a moment before saying, "Add me to the group, then." Orissa looked at Benjamin for a second before adding him to the group. Chapter 939. Benjamin sent a gift card. A text suddenly popped up in the group chat. There was a message accompanying the gift card that said, "May Mr. Graham and Mrs. Graham have a long-lasting and blissful marriage." Perhaps everyone had yet to process what was happening because no one reacted. Orissa could not help but be impressed with Benjamin's shamelessness when she saw him looking at his phone with a serious expression. No one else other than this man would ask for blessings in such a manner. The woman clicked on the gift card to claim it. Haha, it's mine. I'm the first. Benjamin raised his head and could not help but smile when he saw Orissa beaming radiantly just like a kid in a candy shop. A second later, everyone came back to their senses and started typing their well wishes for the couple. Seeing that, Benjamin started sending more gift cards to the group. Each card was worth 100,000. Orissa, who was sitting in her seat, was tapping on the gift cards excitedly, hoping to snatch as many of them as possible. Yay, I got it again. Ha, I am fast. Why is everyone so fast? Benjamin sent more gift cards whenever he noticed the woman's disappointment or joy. Of course, everyone else was delighted to have such a generous boss. Everyone managed to claim at least one gift card, and soon, the group chat was swarmed with all sorts of well wishes. Some even wished for them to have a baby soon. Ethan and Jack were jumping with joy. Mr. Graham is so generous. This is wonderful. Benjamin gave out 2 million worth of gift cards in total, and almost half of that went to Orissa, who felt rather embarrassed. She rested her head on the table and was tearing up from smiling too much. Benjamin gazed at Orissa and asked in a gentle voice, "Should I give more?" Orissa was taken aback by the question, and she felt her heart skipping a beat. "Why are you asking me that?" "So that you can claim more gift cards," Benjamin replied as his thin lips curved upward. "Did he send all those gift cards for me to snatch?" Orissa gaped in shock. She stared at the man blankly and asked, "Where did you get all the money? Aren't all his cards with me? Is he still using them?" "I still have some money left," Benjamin answered. "How much?" Orissa was just asking out of curiosity and had no intention of controlling his finances. Benjamin lifted his chin. "I'll tell you if you come over." Orissa could sense danger when she locked gazes with the man, and her heart started racing. "There's no need for me to go over. I can hear you from here. I'll only tell you if you come over," Benjamin repeated flatly. He had transferred another million to Ethan and instructed him to get some gift cards for the lower-level employees as well. "Are you sending more gift cards?" Orissa asked, turning her attention back to the group chat. "It's for the lower-level employees. You're in other group chats but not the manager's group chat. I was the one who added him to the group just now." "Yeah." Orissa was momentarily stunned. "Then how are you going to send them the gift cards?" "Ethan." Orissa looked at the man's handsome side profile and pursed her lips. She then looked at her phone again, and a surge of joy rushed through her when she saw all those gift cards that she had claimed earlier. "We should have a good meal with the kids tonight." Benjamin narrowed his eyes and fixed his gaze on the woman, who was smiling to herself. "What are you thinking about?" "I'm taking the kids to a nice restaurant tonight," Orissa blurted out. Benjamin cocked an eyebrow. "You've just claimed so many of my gift cards. Aren't you going to treat me to something?" Orissa turned to look at Benjamin. Sensing his jealousy, she said in a sweet voice, "Of course I am. You're the star of the evening. I wonder if you would give me the honor." Benjamin was pleased to hear that and did not mind even though he knew that the woman had said that half-heartedly. "Sure, let's eat out tonight. Your treat." Orissa smiled mirthfully at the man's prideful expression. Chapter 940. After admiring her newly acquired gift cards for a while, Orissa was finally ready to start work. Right then, Ethan walked in with some wedding favors. "Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham, here are your wedding favors." Ethan placed them on Orissa's desk, then reported to Benjamin, "Mr. Graham, I've distributed the wedding favors and gift cards to the employees. Everyone was very excited and sent their blessings to you and Mrs. Graham. They wished the two of you a long and happy marriage with many kids." Benjamin nodded with a faint smile. Orissa let out a chuckle. "Many kids? We already have 6 of them. Did you take some wedding favors for yourself too?" Benjamin asked Ethan. "Yup, I kept some for myself." Benjamin then gestured for the man to get back to work. Orissa looked at Benjamin while she unwrapped a candy. "Do you want one?" "No, thanks." Benjamin turned his attention back to the stack of documents on his table. Still, Orissa walked over with a piece of candy and held it near his mouth. "Aren't you having some of your own wedding favors?" She sounded sweet yet assertive. Benjamin gave her the side eye in response. When Orissa saw that, she pushed the candy into his mouth. A twinkle appeared in Benjamin's eyes. He opened his mouth and ate the candy. "Is it sweet?" Orissa said, smiling. "Aren't candies supposed to be sweet?" Orissa flushed slightly. She could not tear her eyes away from the man, who looked so elegant even when he was eating candy. "Yeah." The man's magnetic baritone voice sounded very seductive, causing Orissa's heart to skip a few beats. Orissa quickly shook her head and walked back to her seat. Benjamin could feel the sweetness on his tongue and in his heart. He kept his gaze on Orissa for a little longer before turning back to his work. Orissa peered at the man and only started working when she saw that he was concentrating on his task. The other department managers were all stunned to see Orissa in the CEO's office when they went to report their work progress to Benjamin. "Good day, Mrs. Graham," the managers greeted her. Feeling awkward, Orissa corrected them, "Miss York will do." The managers merely responded with a smile and started discussing work with Benjamin. Soon, it was time to get off work. While Orissa was packing up, she noticed Benjamin was still busy with work. She called out to him softly, "Benjamin." The man looked up at her and replied, "Give me a sec. If you're busy, do you want me to pick up the kids first?" "It's fine. Let's go together." Orissa pursed her lips. It seems a bit too early for dinner at this time. She had intended to pick up the kids from school first and head out to dinner slightly later. When Benjamin was done reviewing the last set of documents, he summoned Ethan to his office. After instructing him to distribute the documents to the relevant personnel, Benjamin started packing up. "Let's go," he said to Orissa while extending his hand once he was done. Sweetness filled Orissa's heart as she interlaced her fingers with Benjamin's. Benjamin took the woman's bag with his other hand and held it together with his own briefcase. Orissa was touched by the man's thoughtfulness. "Isn't he worried that his image would be ruined if he was seen carrying my bag?" "What's the matter?" Benjamin asked as he turned to look at Orissa. "Didn't you say I'm your secretary? How can you carry your secretary's bag? That's bad for your image." Benjamin stared at the woman as if she was a fool. "Everyone already knows that I'm your husband. They'll just think that it's an act of love." A blush spread across Orissa's face as she mumbled, "Is carrying my bag considered an act of love?" Benjamin's eyes flickered, and a smirk appeared on his face. Leaning over, he whispered into the woman's ears, "I will do something else to show you how much I love you when we get home."